Hello and welcome to this new podcast episode, or if you're watching on YouTube, welcome back to this new video of mine. Today I want to talk about how we can actually integrate self-love into our life. What is self-love? How can we use it? And what is the negative stigma around it? And how you can actually implement self-love in your relationships, or if you're getting out of some. Also, in general, how does it tie into manifesting? How can you actually manifest from your heart and purely with the love you hold for yourself? My first question here is, why do we always say you have to love yourself first, or that self-love is so important? However, on the other hand, you're also not allowed to have too much of it, otherwise you're selfish or arrogant. Like what is this? You know, this is the bad and negative stigma we have around it. Like, don't be selfish, don't look too much after yourself. You also have to look after others, which is true. I agree with that. But where's then their space to love ourselves? So how can we as creators actually step into our power and manifest with ease from a loving standpoint? So what even is self-love? So I actually Googled it. Duh, of course I did. And self-love is actually a state of appreciation for oneself that grows from actions that support our physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. So why then exactly is self-love the foundation of everything? Self-love is the foundation of everything because if you're not practicing self-love and if you're not putting yourself first, you're immediately sending out a sign to the universe of, I'm not worthy enough of receiving my manifestations. I'm not worthy enough of getting the things I want. I'm not worthy enough to be in the relationship that I want to be in. So therefore, if you're not putting enough emphasis on yourself and on the way you love yourself, the universe is not going to love you back. That's basically the whole element we're going to approach today. Let's take, for example, the most obvious thing if we're talking about relationships. Why do you need to love yourself first? Because I think a lot of people actually say you need to love yourself first before you can give love and love another person, which I would highly agree with, because hurt people, right? It's also another saying, but it's true. Because if you don't know your boundaries, if you don't know where to draw a line for yourself, and if you don't know how to separate your life from another person's life, you're going to be very entangled with that person, and you're gonna always depend your happiness on their love. So this is my stand on this, and you can tell me in the comments if you agree or disagree with that. I think in a relationship it's very common that you do get codependent. You almost cannot really get around it because you love a person, you want to spend time with that person, and you want to be close to them. On the other hand, you also want their approval, of course, because there are people that are close to your heart, and it would be weird if you wouldn't. So I think it would be wrong to say you cannot depend your happiness at all on the other person, because of course if they're doing something upsetting, you have every right to be upset about it. You have every right to be sad about some things they say or things they do. However, I would not say that there is a reason to dwell on it. So give your emotions space, and that's where the self-love part comes in. So you give your emotions then space, like not space, but a place. I cannot talk, I'm sorry. You give your emotions a place. You say, okay, I appreciate that I have these feelings right now, because without them I wouldn't even know where my limiting beliefs are, and where actually lack of fear, where actually fear is also coming in my life. So you wouldn't even notice that without those fears showing, but also be able to detach the situation from yourself at times. So you need to bring back the love to yourself in those moments. You need to center yourself and see for yourself, I am good either way. You are going to be okay either way. You do not need them in your life. I feel like it's more difficult sometimes to approach self-love in a relationship, so that's why I'm talking about it first. Depending on how toxic a relationship is, of course, but also healthy relationships can sometimes, of course, hurt. So that's why we are talking about this. So what I'm trying to get at is, in those moments, you have to take back the focus to yourself and remind yourself that you're not gonna be dependent on getting the love from another person, but that you can also give the love to yourself. How do you give love to yourself? there are very different and multiple ways. I would say start by doing things that you enjoy. So if you want to go into the city and get a coffee, then do so. Or if you just want to stay at home and watch a movie, then do so. And if it means you're gonna, I don't know, do yoga, then do so. Do the things you love, no matter what other people tell you to do or not to do. Just do your thing, stick with what you want to do, and you're gonna be feeling way more confident and appreciative of yourself, because you're actually following the things that you want without neglecting yourself anymore. You are now stepping into your power, into your creative power, and you're not letting other people's things they're saying and things they're doing affect you as much anymore, because you're like, okay, this is not behavior I want to participate in. I don't want to engage in this behavior. I don't need this in my life right now. I'm going to take a step back from that. I'm going to reflect upon it, and I'm going to move on to things that actually bring me joy and love, which I can give to myself. I don't need to get them from another person. So that's the first step of self-love. But also, this also, of course, works when you're single. So do the things that you enjoy doing. And also, very, very, very important thing, stop that negative self-talk. Because I still do it at times, that we as people talk so negatively to ourselves. And I recently also realized, like, I would never ever talk to one of my best friends the way I talk to myself at times. Why are we so harsh on ourselves? Like, there's literally no point, because we really would never say the things we do, or at least not in the tone we're saying them, the way we would say it to loved ones. So there, actually, the quote comes in, like, love yourself first. Like, give the love to yourself. Like, you don't need to wait for other people telling you how to do things. You don't need to wait on other people saying, like, oh, but you're beautiful the way you are. Start saying those things to yourself first. Start saying, I'm actually beautiful. I love myself. Like, I am gorgeous the way I am. And look in the mirror and be like, I am that bitch. I'm gorgeous. I'm beautiful. Like, I can achieve everything I want. And I'm sure about it. I'm a winner. And even if you don't believe it at first, like, even if you're like looking the grumpiest person in the morning, just look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. And if you do that every single day, at one point you're going to believe yourself. So then if you practice self-love before you're getting into a relationship, you're also going to be more preventing that you're putting them on a pedestal. Because putting another person on a pedestal, what the fuck? Did you hear that? Putting another person on a pedestal before yourself is never a good idea. And sometimes it's hard to remind yourself of that. It's a way of having healthy self-confidence and having that deep inner knowing that you're beautiful the way you are. And that's basically what self-love is all about. But to actually change that, you need to be very aware of your thoughts and emotions, what we already talked about in the episodes before. So sometimes I'm saying go on a mental diet, because going on a mental diet is just basically really being clear on what you're thinking and where your thoughts are coming from, and always reminding yourself, like, hey, I don't need this thought right now. Let it go. It's not about pressuring yourself into anything. It's having patience with yourself. It's being gentle to yourself. I don't think that self-love is something that should be pressured. I don't think that it's a technique, sort of. I think it's a foundation of manifesting. So you should, in that instance, not be like pressuring yourself into like, oh, today I didn't do the things I wanted, or like that's already being hard on yourself again, you know? Like always be like kind to yourself. A lot of people also use the analogy, like, would you talk to yourself the way you're talking to that little child that you were once? Like if you were looking at a photo of yourself when you were younger, you would never talk to yourself like this. So really heal your inner child, like talk to yourself kindly, be kind to yourself. There's no reason not to. Literally no reason. It's just really upsetting to me because, as I said, I still do it sometimes, and it's really frustrating to me because it's so established in our society that we actually talk other people down, but also ourselves, or someone who's maybe better than us. Then greed comes in, or like jealousy, and these are all so low vibrational feelings and so negative emotions, and these are not going to help you manifest anything in your life. These are just going to push you further away from your goals. Yeah, here's like the turn and the shift we need to make, because if we love ourselves, we're also going to radiate more love and more confidence, and we're going to draw in people and opportunities naturally. We're becoming a magnet for love and for opportunities and for just happiness in our lives. Because if you're actually saying, I deserve better things, and you're stepping away from situations that make you sad or from people that make you upset, if you're taking a distance from those things, it actually already shows that you are way more deserving. Like, it sends out the energy to the universe that you are deserving of the things that you actually want, of quantum leaping into the life you want to live. Therefore, self-love is so effective, because self-love, if you establish it very, very well, it is a very strong foundation that cannot easily be cracked. So if you really practice self-love daily, therefore you're going to have a way better chance of manifesting faster and more instantly, because you're going to be a magnet, as I already said, to love and everything, and you're going to be creating new opportunities for yourself. You're like opening up yourself to miracles. See it like a flower. Once you start loving yourself more, that little rose is starting to bloom and bloom and bloom, and then suddenly you have like this beautiful, beautiful flower in front of you, and you're seeing, wow, like this was there before and you couldn't really see it, but like you need to unravel it bit by bit. Like you need to water it. You need to plant the seed first, you need to water it, and then it needed to grow, and it takes time, but it's going to be a beautiful outcome. And this is a constant process. It's not going to be done from like one day to another. It's going to be constantly reminding yourself, like, you're worthy, you're capable of everything you want to. You're completely aligned with your dream life. Therefore, our self-love era is the era we're going to get everything we want without asking for permission, because you're then just more interested in standing up for yourself. I'm not going to entertain bad behavior. I'm not going to be the fool running around. I'm not going to give any clown energy here. No clown energy here. Just love, self-love, self-respect, and allowing beautiful things to happen. It is a journey to actually becoming a more fulfilled you. It's a journey to healing. What I also still notice is that a lot of blocks from your childhood are going to come up. You have a lot of things that you will need to work through in order to be a very, very fulfilled you, to feel so worthy of everything that you're becoming a limitless manifester. And after a while, you're going to notice so many more things like running in your life. Like everything is going to start rolling like a snowball, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and you're picking up more clues and more things, and you're going to realize how easy it is to manifest if you have some certain beliefs already established. We didn't do a step-by-step thing today because I feel like we need to talk about self-care more like freely and self-love. And I think self-love and self-care are pretty much entangled. You need to follow your intuition. You need to follow your inner guidance. You need to listen to your body and what it tells you. Because if you're not doing that, self-love is going to be way harder to establish, because you're always pushing against something that your natural process wouldn't even be like. You're always pushing into a direction that you're not supposed to be in. And it's not about not stepping out of your comfort zone. It's more like finding peace and joy in the little things and seeing how beautiful life is. There's one little thing that I want to give you on the way now, to actually like a practice to do. So I want you to write down 5 things that you love about yourself. 5 things. It can be anything. Little things or bigger things. Doesn't matter. But list 5 things and then see how you feel. And then you look in the mirror the upcoming day probably, and you're going to be like, whoa, I actually really love that about myself. Or like also characteristics. There are so many things to be appreciative of, because we all carry something beautiful in us. We just need to find it first. And you cannot expect other people to find this in you if you don't see it first. And you're always going to look for that outside validation otherwise. This is it for today. I think we rounded it up quite well. I hope you have a beautiful and blissful day. And if you're watching, please leave a like or a comment. I would really appreciate it. Or also follow if you like this channel. It would really mean a lot to me. As well as following on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Yeah. And leave a 5-star rating now that we're already at it. Yes, I would love that. I will leave you to it. As I already said, have a blissful day and talk to you next week. Bye.